Hello, it's time for another episode of Discipleship Today. My name is Bob Benson. I'm the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church in Bemis Point, New York. We've been using the book of John as a discipleship text, and now we're kind of shifting gears. We're getting into the story portion where John's telling the story of the betrayal and arrest of Jesus. And I'm going to read the first 11 verses in chapter 18. I'm going to be reading from the ESV. So just sit back and listen, and then we'll come back and talk about it. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples across the brook Kidron, where there was a garden which he and his disciples entered. Now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew of the place, for Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas, having procured a band of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said to them, "Who do you seek?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them, and when Jesus said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. So he asked them again, "Whom do you seek?" For they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." And Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. So if you seek me, let these men go." This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken. "Of those whom you gave me, I have not lost one." Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servants and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. So Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given me?" I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to go back and we're going to talk about this. We all know that this is the story of Jesus being betrayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, and we know where this happened. It was on the Mount of Olives. And it's just interesting because they walked across the Kidron Valley, the brook in the bottom of the Kidron. And this seems to be the place that Jesus met his disciples quite often, because that's what it tells us here in the text. And this betrayal, Jesus, knowing all that would happen, came forward and said, "Whom do you seek?" And I think it's really interesting if you look at this in the Greek that it was originally written in. He says, "I am." And I think that's really interesting. That takes us back to Genesis, when Moses met God and he said, "Whom should I say that sent me?" And God says, "Tell him I am sent you." This was a claim to deity, and everybody in Jewish culture knew exactly what he was doing when he said to the soldiers, "I am." I've heard people say, well, Jesus never claimed to be God. And if you don't understand the Jewish historical background to this story, you might believe that. But Jesus claimed to be God quite often. He said a lot of things about "I am." "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me." Jesus claimed all the time to be God, to be equal with God. And so don't listen to people that say that Jesus never claimed any deity. And the other thing is that this interaction with Peter. And we're going to see this as a theme through the next couple of times that we're together. He said to Peter, "Put away your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given to me?" Jesus knew exactly why he came. He came to die, and he came to die a horrible death on the cross to pay yours and my penalty for sin. I'm going to encourage you today to live in that. From the foundation of the world, there was no plan B. It was God's plan right from the beginning. He knew what would happen. He knew men would sin, and we needed a Savior. And he knew that he would send his one and only Son to pay that penalty for you and me. He chose us from the foundations of the earth, and some people say, well, how could he do that? Well, he sees all of history as the same. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He sees it all together. He knows how it all fits together. He is sovereign over the universe. He can choose you to come to him and know that it's going to happen. And I just want to encourage you, if you have not committed your life to Jesus Christ, that you would take the time, that you would bow your head and you would ask him to live in you, to reign in your life, to lead, guide, and direct you for the rest of your days. So for Discipleship Today, my name is Pastor Bob Benson. Thank you for joining us.